right, so I think we'll get started. Um, so I I found a prayer. This prayer is about generosity. So which is kind of appropriate. Kind of, the giver gets more than the recipient. The recipient acquires something material and limited. The one who gives, however, acquires for herself a good and pure heart. So we're going to talk about financial aid. I am recording this so that because I'm going to have to go a lot faster than I would like to have to go. If you want to ask a question, I would say like stick it in the chat. I'll kind of open up my chat. And if it looks like something that I really need to clarify right as we're going along, I will. Otherwise, I will get back with anybody and answer any questions that you have, or you can email me afterwards and I will answer your questions. Yeah, so I'm here to help. It's like a super important topic. So we're talking about financial aid and everybody sees me, right? I'm here. You can all hear me. We're good. Okay, great. We're talking about financial aid and student loans. And I have to make one political statement to begin with, and that is that the issue of whether or not people should be educated at a reasonable cost is a political issue. It's a decision that our country makes, and you should keep that in mind when you are kind of an active political participant. It's not like mandated from above. It's an issue that we have some say over. That said, I want to start out, I'm going to share my screen here. You all have also a copy of my outline, and you also have a copy of the, where'd you all go? You also have a copy of the slides. I sent that all out to the senior class, so everybody has that as well. All right. So I kind of want to start with just talking about what are the basics of a loan. So if you a loan means that somebody, or a student loan is somebody is giving you a chunk of money, and you pay them back over a period of time. Usually you pay them back monthly, and usually they're not doing this for free. You're paying them interest. So you're paying them a little bit more than what they gave you, and that is added on to your monthly payment. So in mathematical terms, we call that amortization. And it would kind of make sense that the higher the interest rate, the higher your payment is going to be. So I just have a couple of examples here. I said, okay, let's say that you borrow $40,000, and that's like $10,000 a year for 4 years. So if you were paying that back at an 8% interest rate over 10 years, your payment would be $485 a month. If it was a 5% interest rate, so a lower interest rate over 10 years, your payment will be $424 a month. If it was an 8% interest rate, but it was over 30 years, so you're spreading it out over a much longer time period, then your monthly payment, instead of being $485, is $294. And if it's a 5% over 30 years, it's $215 per month, as opposed to $424. So you can see the things that impact your monthly payment are going to be the interest rate and the length of time, the term of the loan. So those are going to be things that are going to be really important to you if you're going to take out some student loans. Because, for example, let's say that you get out of school and you earn $50,000 per year. Well, after taxes, that'll work out to be about $40,000 that you have. And if you were paying, say, this $424 per month, that is about 13% of your take-home pay. Okay. Now, most people, they have a difficult time saving even a penny. I don't know if you've read the statistics, but I think it's like more than half the people in the United States don't even have $400 in savings. So they're kind of in a tough spot for emergencies. So if you have to pay $424 a month, that's 13% of your take-home pay. I mean, most people aren't saving 3% of their take-home pay. So I'm not saying that it can't be done. I am not saying that you shouldn't take out loans, but what I'm saying is you have to consider the consequences, because you know, if you're that financially stretched, I mean, can you get married and have kids? Yeah, that's a big financial commitment. Can you buy a house? Can you afford to retire at some point? So these are all things that you have to kind of work into your calculations when you're thinking about whether you take up student loans. And the reason it's so important to like really think about it is because, as we'll see as we go along here, frequently what you get from the universities when you've been accepted is they give you a letter and they say, okay, check all the boxes in order to be able to pay this. And I've just seen students without understanding really what it means, just kind of check all the boxes so that they can go to this school, but they aren't really realizing what this is doing. Is it's putting them on the hook for a very large payment for what could be, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. So it's a really important thing. Again, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I am saying you have to be careful about it. And there are lots of online calculators that you can find to help you calculate, you know, what would my monthly payment be? If they confuse you, just, you know, come see me, you know, send me an email and I'll help you figure it out. It's really easy once you know how to work the calculators. I am highly, highly, highly recommending that you get this book. Okay. It's the best one that I've seen. I looked at a whole bunch of them a couple of years ago. The Princeton Review, Paying for College, Everything You Need to Know to Maximize Financial Aid and Afford College. So the one I have here is a 2019 edition. They have a new edition every single year, but it is by far the best book, and it's an easy read. And if you're thinking at all about this, you really should take a look at it. It could save you. I mean, it'll cost you $20 to buy the book. It could save you tens of thousands of dollars, seriously, like really big money. Okay, so this is a sample listing of a bunch of colleges with a general estimate of what you might pay for each. Now, you just kind of notice something here. So like Northwestern University, the cost to go to Northwestern University was almost $80,000. But when you did your financial aid form that we'll talk about in a minute, called your FAFSA. Everybody heard of the FAFSA? Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of yeses. I'm seeing a lot of blanks here, but that's a lot of yeses, yeah. Well, when you do your FAFSA, you get what is called an EFC, Expected Financial Contribution, or Expected Family Contribution. This is what they're saying is based on the information that you gave them, this is what they expect you to be able to pay. So for Northwestern, if this is what they expect you to be able to pay, then this is what you need, and they're saying we estimate you would get that much in aid of some sort, but the annual cost, it's going to cost you $28,527, your EFC. So a lot of universities will use this EFC to really say, okay, well, that's how much we're going to ask you to pay. You know, so that's why all these universities, and they're all different. I mean, you got Georgetown at $80,000, and you compare that to like Berkeley, which is like about half the cost, but they're both expecting you to pay. In fact, it looks like in this case, Berkeley would be expecting you to pay even a little bit more than Georgetown, right? Because that's what they're going to base the numbers on, is this EFC. So some important terms are, well, FAFSA, that's your free application for federal student aid. There's another thing that some universities require that is similar, that's called a CSS profile. But then this is the key one right here, is your expected financial contribution. And this is where all the colleges start. So if you do your FAFSA online, they will instantly give you your EFC. If you do it by paper, it takes a couple of weeks to get it back. But you really want to do it well, and you want to do it carefully, and you want to do it soon, because there are some schools still, not as many as there used to be, that basically they have a pool of financial aid, and they're basically giving it out first come, first serve. So whoever kind of comes in first that they're going to accept to their university, they're the ones that are getting the money until the money is all, until it's all used up. So you don't want to like dilly-dally too much on it. Everybody who's going to college should fill out the FAFSA. And one of the reasons is you don't get even any merit aid if you don't do the FAFSA. So you kind of have to fill this thing out. And even if your family makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and they're going to ask you to pay the whole thing, the whole ride, if you want to get some kind of a merit scholarship, you have to have the FAFSA filled out. So it's something that you want to do. You want to pay attention to it. And the book that I recommended gives some like really great tips for how to fill it out. So again, I'm kind of harping on that book. I do not get a commission from that book. All right. So you got you got three kinds of schools. You got your dream schools. You got your safety schools, and this is a term I learned. I think it was from Miss Melvin or the counseling department. There's hidden gems. So there's schools that a lot of people don't really know much about, but they're really great schools, and those are the ones that are probably going to give you the money. But one of the things that I like to emphasize to my students, and I have this up on the wall in my classroom, is that it is not what college you get into, it is what you are going to put into college. There are so many good teachers, so many good professors, so many good universities, so many good colleges, that really, you know, the difference might be in alumni association, the difference might be in networking, but what you put into your college experience and the energy that you put into study and getting involved, that's what's really going to make your college experience. And that's what's going to make your college experience, whether you go to SMC and Cal State or you go to Harvard and Yale. It's really what you put into the thing that's going to make the difference. So you should cut this out of the presentation that I sent you and just stick it on your wall so you don't freak out so much. Okay. I wanted to say something else about this. Yeah, I said most of the aid above the EFC, above your expected financial contribution, is going to come from these hidden gems. And most of those are also, they're colleges that really want you. And I think the counseling department will verify what I'm saying here, but most of the state schools, like University of California or University of Michigan or Ohio State, you know, they are not going to be the ones that are going to really like give you the extra money to get you that merit scholarship, to get you into the school. They're more restricted by their public laws, but the hidden gems are the ones that I think you really want to pay attention to. I also want to say something about the outside scholarships, because I know a lot of people will spend a lot of time like applying to, you know, Knights of Columbus or, you know, the Rotary Scholarship or different things that they find. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You know, I mean, if you have the time to do that, you should do that. But again, my experience is that those are generally not really large amounts of money. And so you kind of want to do a little cost benefit analysis as to, you know, is it worth your time to spend it to get like a $500 scholarship from somebody, as opposed to like spending the extra time like researching the schools that may like really give you like a larger chunk. So kind of just because somebody's offering you a scholarship, look at how much it is and make a reasonable decision as to how much you really want to invest to do it. Okay. Where am I at? Yeah, I just want to make one more comment on here. My first year of college was at UCLA, and that was when UCLA was primarily a commuter school. They didn't have all those nice dorms that they have right now. So I lived at home, and it was fantastic. I mean, it was really the greatest. I mean, it was the greatest for about a year. Then I said, I got to get out of home, you know, and I wanted to leave home, and like you know, maybe a lot of you want to leave home, and I ended up graduating from Berkeley, and that was great too. But again, you know, it's going to be what you put into the school that's going to matter, not so much what school you get into, not as much what school you get into. Okay. I'm looking at my notes. Let's keep going here. Okay, so you're getting your offers from school, and you're going to get letters like this. So this is from Sample University, Dear Joe Sample. And what they say is the estimated cost of attendance at this university here is $55,000 bucks. And they break it down: tuition and fees, housing, books and supplies, personal and miscellaneous. And then they say, hey, guess what? Here is your award, which I just have to say is such a misleading term, right? Because they're saying, okay, we're going to give you a president's scholarship of $10,000, and the federal government's going to give you $600, and then you're going to get another opportunity grant for $500, and you're going to get a state scholarship for $450. And you're looking at this and you're saying, well, that doesn't come anywhere as close to $55,000. And then they say, oh, guess what? We're also going to award you a federal work study, a federal Perkins loan, a federal Stafford loan that's subsidized, and a federal Stafford loan that's unsubsidized. So all of this stuff that they are going to award you here, right? Well, I mean, you know, that's kind of like not really an award. I mean, I think of an award as, hey, here you go, it's yours, right? But all of this stuff right here is stuff that you're going to have to pay back. So if I'm just looking at this, I got what, 3, I got 6, 10, I got 11 grand right here, 11 grand per year. This is $11,000 per year that they're telling me I'm going to borrow or work for. I might have to work for some of it, right? But I'm going to have to pay that back. And so over 4 years, you got our $40,000, $44,000. You're starting to look at some serious money. So you really have to look at these letters. And then on top of it, really what they're saying is, well, even after we award you all this stuff, well, you still got to come up with $34,000 a year. So, you know, the cost to go is 55. We're going to give you, you know, this much money in grants and loans, but you still got to come up with $34,000 a year. And, you know, where are you going to get that? I mean, maybe that's going to be private loans, you know, I don't know where it's going to come from, but you have to pay attention to what they're giving you in these award letters. So, this is a really great thing, and again, it's in the handout that I gave you. It's 2 pages. It's from the United States Department of Education, and it will help you take it for every single school and break down what their award letter is really saying. So, because you can get all this information off the award letter, so you put in what is your EFC, and then, you know, based on the institution, what do they figure your EFC is? Because sometimes they're a little bit off, and then this is the actual cost of attendance. These are grants and scholarships. So this right here, this is the free money. Right? This is the money that they are giving you, right? You do not have to pay it back. But then on the next page, they have, okay, well, how much is work study? And I actually kind of think work study is pretty cool. If they'll guarantee you a job, I think it's a good idea to work a little bit while you're in college. I wouldn't overdo it if you don't have to, but I would think working in college is a good idea. And then here are the loan options that they are giving you. Right? So they're saying these are all things that must be repaid. So if you break this down for every single college that you get an award letter from, then you can make a really nice like Excel spreadsheet and see very clearly how much is it really costing you to go to each university. How much is it really going to cost you? And again, I just got to say this, you really have to pay attention because, you know, I mean, you know, you guys are 17, 18, 19 years old. I don't expect you to be like really financially savvy. And some of your parents might be really financially savvy, and some of your parents really might not be, right? So you have to go to the counseling department, come to me, come to somebody to help you understand this stuff to make sure that you don't get yourselves in a bunch of trouble. These are all different kinds of loans that you can get. And each of them has a different interest rate and a different, each of them has a different interest rate. They have a different term. You know, my thing on student loans is that the lower the interest rate, the better, and the longer the term, the better. So, you know, that's kind of the different things you're looking at, but you can see there's a lot of different things here. So you have to be careful as to which ones you pick. Somebody just asked me a question. If on the FAFSA you say, yes, you want to work study, can you still decline it if you choose not to work during college? I believe you can. I don't believe you are obligated, but you know, until you say if you say to the university, you're probably obligated, but just because you say it on the FAFSA, I'm not so sure. But that is a question for the counselors. They are more knowledgeable than I am on this for sure. Okay. So here's a nice, like a way I would put together like an Excel spreadsheet if I'm taking out loans, if I have to take out loans, what are the different loans? And then, how much would I have to pay in each year for each of these loans? And some of them are going to end after 10 years. And some of them are going to be a lower amount and they're going to go down for 30 years. But this will help you decide like whether or not you can actually afford to pay those loans after you're done with college. Am I making sense? Yeses or nos? I know I'm going really fast, but half an hour is a half an hour, and I want to see if we have a little time for questions. All right. Negotiate. This is one of the things that I got from the book that I didn't really realize that well, is that when you get an offer from a school, that's just what that is. It's an offer. And if that school wants you, you can go back and negotiate with them. You can say, I really would like to go to your school, but I can't afford it. And you might even throw in, and then there's this other school that wants me and they're offering me this, And so, this is a way you can kind of, maybe improve what they're going to offer you. Do not be afraid to negotiate. They're not going to take away the offer that they gave you. Essentially, I don't think you have anything to lose by going to them and saying, hey, this is really tough for me. And just as an example, last year we had a student who really wanted to go to a private Catholic school, but got into a UC that she wasn't really all that excited about, and the private Catholic school didn't offer very much money. And so basically we kind of talked and said, hey, you got to go back and tell this private Catholic school that, look, you really rather go there than go to UC Riverside, but you got no money and you really can't afford it. And there's no way you're going to come up with $20,000 a year, and you can't afford $80,000 of loans when you get out of school. And, can you rethink this? And sure enough, she got almost a free ride. So, negotiating works, and just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a, boost, you are desirable characters for these schools. You're a bunch of good kids, you're smart, you come from a good school. I mean, people want you, right? So play on it, make them cough up the bucks. All right. I want to talk just a little bit about honors colleges. So a lot of schools have these things called honors colleges, which are like a little separate, school within the school. And a lot of the Cal States have honors colleges. Now, my son, after he eventually got around to graduating, after 8 years of college, he did graduate from a Cal State. And after he flunked out of a UC, just to give you the picture here, So he went to a Cal State, and they have these things called honors colleges, and if you can get into the honors college, they give you priority registration, so you're pretty much, it's a lot more likely that you'll be able to graduate in 4 years. A lot of times they give you an individual mentor, so somebody off the faculty or an adult that can help guide you through this thing. They might give you more money. Sometimes they give you preferred housing. You generally have to apply to them separately than just applying to the whole college. But definitely take a look at the honors colleges, and definitely take a look at the Cal State honors colleges, because Cal State, I mean, in my opinion, is a pretty good deal, in terms of cost and what you can get from it. So look at the honors colleges. Like I said, they do have separate applications, and a lot of other universities have honors colleges too. So you should definitely kind of check it out. The ones, the schools that you're looking at, see if they have an honors college, look at it, see if it appeals to you, and then maybe apply. I also have to talk a little bit about community colleges. So I am not advocating that you go to a community college. In fact, I think everybody in our school should be applying to a broad range of colleges. Reach schools and hidden gems, and in not a few cases, people are going to get accepted to colleges that are going to just shower them with money and give you a free ride and be cheaper and more interesting than a community college. But I you know, there's a lot of kids who are going to go to community college, especially with the economic situation that it is, you know, and I'm just telling you, the teachers that are teaching you at community college right now, a lot of them are untenured faculty, and they got a job at UCLA, and then they got a job at Cal State LA, and then they got a job at Santa Monica, and they're having to hustle between all these three things, and they are extremely qualified teachers. And my brother teaches at the University of North Carolina, and my brother, he's probably a pretty good teacher, but he's really not interested in teaching. That's a research university, you know. So he's not really. I mean, teaching, he just as soon not teach. And I mean, I hate to tell you, you know, I mean, like I said, I think he's probably a pretty good teacher, but if you're not really wanting to teach, it's going to come through, you know, because like I want to teach. I like teaching, you know, and I think it comes through. But there's nothing wrong with community college. And if some of your classmates are going to community college and they say, I'm going to Santa Monica, well, you know, they deserve a high five. Well, not a high five because it's coronavirus pandemic, right? But, you know, an elbow bump or something like that, right? I mean, they deserve some kudos there because everybody's going to college, you know. You are all going to college, and it's a good thing. So do not poo-poo the community colleges. Do not poo-poo the Cal State, and but apply to a lot of different schools and see who's going to give you the best deal. And that was a ton of information in 30 minutes. I got 3 minutes. So I will take questions. You know, you can either ask it out, which would be nicer if you just kind of ask it out, or you can stick it in the chat. You know, and I'll hang out here, you know, through the break if anybody like wants to talk a little bit longer. We are on break now, right? Yeah, we'll be on break after this. Whew, that was a lot, man. That was really something. I was rolling. But you can't tell me nobody has a question. I mean, I don't believe that. I just gave you like this gob of information, you know, in like 30 minutes. I'm waiting. You can put it in the chat. It's right there. Oh, I got one here. Are the loans you can wait to pay until you graduate? Yes, I believe there are loans you can wait to pay until you graduate. I think probably most of the loans that you can wait until you graduate. But some of the loans accrue interest while you are in school. You know, so they're getting bigger and bigger. You might start out with a $10,000 loan as a freshman, but by the time you get to be a senior, that loan is now grown to $11,000 or $12,000, right? And then there are other loans that do not accrue interest over the time you're in college. So that's a very good point, good thing to look out for. Is this going to be interest free until I graduate, or is it accruing interest as I go along? That's a very good question. How do you start the conversation to negotiate? The book tells you, but basically you get on the phone and you call the financial aid officer and you say, you know, my name is so-and-so, and I really want to come to your university, but I can't afford it based on what you gave me. Like, can you do better? But the book really goes through a whole series of strategies on negotiation. So again, like, you know, it might be the best $20 you'll ever spend. You know, it's a really excellent book. How to start financial planning now? It all seems very overwhelming. Do you mean financial planning for college, or like financial planning in general? If you mean financial planning in general, the way to start it is to come to my talk later in the year where I give a whole money talk. But I will tell you, you know, just a kind of you know, one thing you got to think of, there's 3 rules to financial planning. No consumer debt, save 15%, and do what you want to do. Those are my 3 rules, right? Financially, if you can avoid consumer debt, which means any debt other than a mortgage for a house and student loans, you want to avoid any debt. So no credit cards to buy stereos, you know, no credit cards to go buy clothes. That stuff you got to pay for as you buy it. House is okay to buy with debt. Student loans are okay. Maybe a car if you have to drive someplace to get to work. But that, and then And then really you should, if you save 15% of whatever you take home, you're going to be in pretty good shape. But I'll talk about that at a later talk. How does financial aid work if you are waitlisted and then accepted? I do not know the answer to that question. So I would ask that to a counselor. Yeah, so that's beyond my pay grade. I don't know. And somebody says yes, college. I don't know what that means. Other than that, yes, college. Other questions?
Can you talk a little bit more?
Scholarships that I recommend. The scholarships that I recommend are the ones that have the lowest interest rate and the longest term. Oh, scholarships. Oh, you mean like the ones that you apply for? You know, I don't know enough about them. I would really talk to the counselors about it. But you know, the thing to look at is how much are they really requiring of you? Are they going to ask you to write like 3, 2-page essays and give you $500? Or are they asking you to submit an application with 1 letter of recommendation and give you $5,000? That's kind of what you need to look at. Is how much work is it really going to take from you, and is it worth the amount of time that they're asking? So I mean, I have seen some of these scholarships where they're really asking for a lot of stuff. You know, like a 1.5 page personal statement and 2 letters of recommendation, and they're going to give you $500. And really, I would think twice. You know, I'd rather work an extra week at Starbucks or something, than to do all that. But that's my personal opinion. But the counselors, they're much more on top of that stuff than I am. So definitely use the counselors. And we have a good college counseling staff. The people are on top of it. So when you're going to talk to them, I mean, they're people like everybody else. And sometimes they're busy, sometimes they're having a problem at home or whatever. But if you kind of persist and talk with them, they're really gonna help you out. They really know what they're doing. They're very experienced people. The best scholarships came from within the school. So Ms. Hennessy says, the best scholarships come from within the school. That is absolutely right. Once you know what school you're going to, ask the financial aid office for a list of scholarships and grant opportunities from that specific school. Well, see, I didn't even think about that. I mean, I know that the school will give you some money, but then that's right. They have different scholarships that are specific for that school, and they will give you their list, and then you can go for those. Elaborate what the CSS profile is. I'm going to be totally frank here that I don't remember. All I remember is that that some schools require it either in addition to the FAFSA or instead of the FAFSA. It's kind of their own way of deciding how much money they think you need. So get the book and ask the counselor. That's my advice on that one. Other questions? They're good questions, ladies. You're on it. I don't suppose anybody is on campus. Nah, because if you're on campus, I actually have that book in my classroom, and people will come in and look at it in my classroom. But like, buy the book. It's worth it. All right. So we have 10 o'clock is when class starts. That's 5 minutes around. Any other questions? Last questions? You know how to reach me. I am GJANKEN@ndala.com. Yeah. So communicate with me via email. You have any questions? I'll set up a Zoom with you. I'll do email, whatever it is. I will send out a copy of the recording to the entire senior class. Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Eleni, are you there? How's your mouth? You must not be there. You must have left.
I'm here, sorry. It's just having trouble with disconnecting and stuff.
How you doing?
I'm a little bit better. It's still a little sore.
You sound.
A little lispo going on, but it's getting better.
Do you look like a chipmunk?
Yeah, I do. That's why I have my camera off.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry. All right, well, feel better, all right? Take some drugs.
Well, thank you.
All right, later. Abby, you have a question? Or just hanging out, or just you stuck? There we go. End meeting for all.